As any third gen manual Tacoma owner might know, the clutches in these feel a little bit mushy. Kind of finding that engagement point is always not as clear of a line as you might want it to be. So I'm hoping that this clutch install is going to help with that. I understand it should, but that's kind of subjective, right? Everybody's probably going to have a little bit different opinion about that and feel. So I wanted to try to test something that was a little bit more objective. So I'm just outside of St. George here in some of the vast public land we have around here, and I found us a little bit of a steep hill climb. And I want to just kind of test the static pressure because I understand it should have more static pressure, I hope I'm saying the right thing here, and holding power. So I want to see if I kind of just put the Tacoma in first gear, no throttle input, and just let it kind of eat up the hill, how it does. Do we make it up? Does it stall? You know, how's it acting? And then I want to bring it back with the Centerforce 2 clutch and just see if we get any improvement over that. And that should hopefully be something that's a little bit more objective that we can see, is it really an improvement or not. So I think that's what we're going to do. Let's get our camera set up and let's tackle this hill. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm in 4 low. Emergency brake off. Let's go ahead and turn A-track on. Give ourselves all the help we can here. And we're going to go first gear. And then I'm going to let off the clutch. And I'm going to apply no throttle and not work the clutch at all, and to see how well we climb up this thing in first. Here we go. Get it rolling. Okay, now I'm completely off the clutch. We seem to be crawling up pretty good. This little hill that I picked here is a little bit ruddy. Some loose rocks. I don't know, it's struggling a little bit. Is it going to keep going? Oh, I don't know. The RPMs are dropping. Down to about 500 RPMs. But it's still going. I don't know, it might do it with a stock clutch. Oh, it's starting to struggle. Oh, there it went. Okay, whoa. So we almost made it to the top. This is probably the steepest section we're in right here. And so yeah, didn't make it. Let me see if we can put it back in first. Get it going again. All right, get a little bit of throttle this time. All right. Oh, is it gonna make it? I'm off the throttle again. Starting to level out. The throttle's bouncing around. Or the RPMs between 500 and about 750. All right. Okay. We made it to the top. Okay, cool. I picked a good hill. That was the desired outcome I was hoping for. Trying to find something that was steep enough that maybe it couldn't do it, you know, and maybe it won't do it with the Centerforce clutch. I don't know. But at least it'll kind of give us a good testing point to see if it can kind of get past that point. Okay, let's go get this clutch installed. All right, so after my little experiment this morning, I brought the truck over to St. George Transmission because where else am I going to take it but St. George Transmission? I'm in St. George, right? It's the most logical place to take it. And you guys have been around a while, Brian.
Yeah, we have.
Tell me a little bit about that, and I think too you're going to tell us a little bit more technical information about this clutch and what we're doing here, and so I'm looking forward to hearing that.
All right, so my name is Ryan Snow. Our shop is called St. George Transmission, obviously in St. George, Utah. Our shop has been around since the 90s. In 2008, we finished construction on the building that we are in now, and we've been plugging away ever since. So I've been here as a part owner and business operator for 5 or 6 years now. I started working here in 2008. Our shop specializes obviously in transmissions, mostly automatic transmissions, but we do a lot of general drivetrain work. So we are working on clutches, transfer cases, differentials, automatic and standard transmissions, as well as everything that makes a car go. So if it's an engine, we work on it. If it's brakes, we work on it. When you talk about the clutch of a vehicle, a lot of people don't know exactly how it works. So this is the factory clutch right here. We've got the pressure plate section. This is the part that the clutch actually rides against. You've got the actual pressure plate. This is the friction material right here. Think of this like a brake pad. It's essentially the same sort of a scenario where this is the friction material that bites onto that piece there. And then you've got the flywheel, which is this heavy chunk right here. This is what connects to the engine. It bolts up through here and bolts to the crankshaft of the engine. So this is spinning every time the engine is going. If you want to transmit that power to the transmission, you've got to basically squeeze this clutch up against there as tight as you can. So that's what this section here does, the pressure plate, is it squeezes the clutch up against the flywheel and that locks it together, and then that drives the transmission forward. The stock clutch is really well engineered. It's a nice setup. It's got good dampening springs in it. It's got this little plastic bushing in there to help isolate vibration from the transmission shaft going through there. This is designed for most customers most of the time. This covers the bases 99% of the time for 99% of the people. Once you start getting into a rig like this and you start doing something that's a little bit more specialized driving, sometimes you want a little bit more. So this Centerforce clutch set, the pressure plate section, is a lot more rugged. This is going to provide more clamping power to the clutch, especially at higher RPMs. You can't really see inside of this, but they also have little ball bearings. If you kind of peek down in there, you can see. Yep. Those ball bearings actually change the pivot point for these fingers a little bit, so they can be a little bit more selective on how the clutch engages and disengages, or applies and releases. So this pressure plate is the first component that is going to make a difference. It's going to clamp down on that harder. It's going to drive differently. It's going to engage differently. It's going to take off differently. And it's not going to act exactly like a stock clutch. The friction material looks really similar, but there's probably a little bit more surface area on this particular clutch disc than there is on the factory one. It's got different dampening springs on it. It's still dampened. It's got springs here and springs inside of there. That's to dampen the vibrations coming from the transmission. So we still got that. We're still good. This big hunk of metal is
that thing. I was surprised at what it weighs. It's like significantly heavier.
Yeah. This probably weighs. I mean, we could probably find a scale, but I'd guess this is probably 30 to 40% more weight. So what this is called a high inertia flywheel, and what it does is it adds weight to the rotating assembly to help drive the engine forward. This is particularly helpful in low RPM situations. So your first gear, easing into the clutch to try to pop up onto a ledge or over a rock or over a log or something like that, it's really easy to stall your engine.
Right, and this morning actually I was out experimenting with that, just trying to get a feel for to see does this actually make an improvement for me after we put it in, and yeah, experience that firsthand.
Yeah. So you have a lot more rotational mass driving the engine forward. It's actually pushing the crankshaft as it's going, so it makes it a little bit harder to stall the engine at low RPMs as you're applying the clutch and trying to take off.
Yep.
And so an experiment that we're going to run afterwards is we're going to go see if we can idle up a hill in first gear without stalling the engine, because we know that you were able to stall the engine
Yes.
running this. So that's going to be one of the biggest things that we can demonstrate on camera of what the difference is. The rest of it is a lot of how does it feel, how does it grab,
right?
yeah.
Like,
The position of the clutch pedal, where it's off or on may be a little bit different, and the feel of it coming off and coming on might be a little different. The amount of slip that happens as the clutch is being depressed is going to be a little bit different. So we probably will have less slippage with this system than we did with the stock system, because the stock system is designed to have a nice smooth apply. It'll allow more slip before it fully grabs.
makes sense. Well, I'm excited to get this thing in there. All right, I got Tyler back here behind me, who is the tech who's actually doing this install here for us.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, Tyler, what were you just doing here? So you were just banging the heck out of this thing and pulling these pins out, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just using this dowel pin remover that basically just clamps down over the dowel, and we use a slide hammer.
We got Eli back here giving Tyler a hand. And what are you doing? You cleaning this thing up?
Yeah, just make sure all those all the clutch materials that was left over from last one's out.
Okay. All that clutch burning I did on it.
Uh-huh.
All right, Tyler, can you give me just a quick rundown? What are you about to do here?
So just replacing the throwout bearing. So on this one, this inner sleeve here is plastic, so you don't want to put any grease on that. If it was metal, you would. But we are going to put grease on the points of contact where it's going to touch this fork. So a little bit here and here and on the sides, and then in these areas here for the pivot ball and the slave cylinder. The kit came with this spline lube here, so we're going to put a little bit on the splines. You don't want to overdo it because it's going to sling it outwards, and you don't want it on your friction material. This helps distribute the grease and make sure it's where it needs to be, and you don't have excessive grease, so you can wipe that off after your test fit.
Tyler greased the spline, and then he took the clutch disc and just kind of test fitted on there and made sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. What Tyler just did here was he bolted the flywheel up to the crankshaft, and then these are our crankshaft bolts that you're now about to torque to the proper spec. Alright, so Tyler now has got the crankshaft bolts in, and they are torqued to 22 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees, I'm learning. By the way, on Monday here, check out this cool hat Ryan gave me. The gear heads. Pretty neat, right? Tyler just got this thing nice and clean, got all the fingerprints and everything off of it, because I'm told we want it to be nice and clean, so it has a good clean surface to grip to. Tyler just got the pressure plate installed with the disc in the middle, and these bolts are torqued to 25 foot-pounds. Those are the pressure plate bolts. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. Now that the clutch is in, Tyler has a whole mess of stuff he's working with back here. He's got the transmission going in. He's got the transfer case going in. He's got the cross members to put on, skid plates, wiring harnesses. There's a lot of stuff to happen. I'm just going to stand back and let the man do his work. Current situation, he has pretty much got this buttoned back up except for the skids. It's down on the ground, as you can see, and he is going to take it out for a quick test drive, make sure everything looks okay, take another peek under it to make sure everything looks okay, then the skids should go back on, and then I think we're ready to give it a roll. I'm excited. All right, Tyler, so you just got back from the test drive. You're getting my skids put back on. What was your initial reaction? Feel a little bit better on that engagement point, or what were you thinking?
I think so. Really positive engagement feel. It was pretty grabby.
Okay.
But you can tell exactly. I mean, it won't take long at all to get used to the engagement point where your foot goes.
That is good. What about break-ins? What am I supposed to be doing to breaking this in, right? It's got a break-in period?
Yeah, the break-in period, I think it was 500 miles.
Okay, 500 miles.
And no wide open throttle.
Okay, so just no wide open throttle for 500 miles. That should be easy enough.
Lots of stop and go traffic.
People who own third gen Tacomas probably know there's not really so much thing as wide open throttle on these anyways. All right, cool. Well, that's good information. I guess, the other questions I had were, is this going to increase the life of my oil changes? What about that?
Oh,
Does that help me? Fuel economy? I'm going to get 50 miles to a gallon now,
it'll
right?
skyrocket. You'll just be passing all the gas stations.
Perfect.
You can park in the Tesla plug-ins.
Yeah, I can plug it into the Tesla bank now. That's a good point. This is the best mod ever. So you got this thing all buttoned up, skid plates back on. Let's go try it out. I just have to remember, no super accelerating, right? Yeah, I mean, I definitely can already tell. The engagement does feel a little bit firmer to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought was cool. Was just the very first time, right after pulling out, you could tell there was a difference.
Yeah. All right, so here we are back at my little test bed here. Let's go ahead and get A-Track back on. Let's put it in first gear. And here we go. I'm letting the clutch out. Gonna let it crawl itself. There's no throttle, no clutch, no. Seems to be holding well. Where it stalled on me on the stock clutch is coming up here, kind of right around this little turn here. All right. right, still doing good. Let's see. This is right around where it died on me before. I don't know, is it gonna do it? You can hear it getting low. I think it's gonna do it.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. There you go. No throttle input at all. That's awesome.
That was cool.
Good stuff. Successful test.